So simple. It's not hard to convince people of how you want them to see something, or how easy it is to lose the truth, as we have seen of late. But what of the ones who don't forget, or blindly believe and follow the official narrative? I've been hearing some very compelling theories about history, and what has been done to erase and rewrite large parts of it already. I am not here to say whether it is true or not, as I, like the rest of you, don't know, but only to speculate on how one might achieve that collective loss of knowledge and gain control of our social consciousness. If you aren't familiar with some of the alternative ideas, check out mud flood theory, the crater theory, and Tartarian history. They all tie into me and form a bigger picture that even I hadn't considered in all my wonderings. If you want to get rid of what came before and erase it, you would need to take steps to ensure that knowledge wasn't able to be passed down, that it was smashed and overwritten, language and meanings changed so that confusion takes over. Wars and immigration seem to do that well, and you don't have to look too far back in our recent history, and currently, to see we displace thousands of children and adults by sending them to colonies. But what of those people who got given new lives, histories and futures? Many lied to and told their parents had died, and they were treated awfully once there. That paves the way for a very controllable society, formed from people who were robbed of security and roots and were taken to this new world, not forgetting a systematic breakdown on the local inhabitants to achieve the same. Displace and disrupt the flow of self and sense of community seems to be part of their MO. This appears to have happened time and again. It may sound wild on the face of it, but having thought it through, it actually seems quite logical and an easy way to disrupt things. It all seems to tie back to and start around the 1850s. The Industrial Revolution seems to be part of it, and marks the real start of their drive for changing everything. Another reset, if you will. Whatever the cause for this reset, some speculate there was a catastrophe around a mud flood and nefarious people seized control. It changed everything. But there is so much I didn't know, and things that I did and hadn't questioned, just accepted. So now I question it all, and wonder what other purpose the actions and events may have had, if thought of from a new perspective. I'll mention the mud flood here with more details as it's a starting point. No date for it or full details, but the evidence, they say, remains. And the multitude of buildings we have that appear to be submerged by at least a floor underground are there. Everywhere, in fact, but only ones of a certain age, pre-1850. Seems odd to build houses that far underground with windows, because that's the giveaway. The tops of the windows show still. There are an awful lot of buildings that seem to have been founded, rather than have a built date as well. So make of that what you will. And when you start looking at the old world and buildings, you start to see a big difference. It seems neoclassical was the go-to style for every country in the world. Large spectacular buildings, some of which we still have and are in use today. Unfortunately, a huge amount of them have been demolished and destroyed in the last 150 years, by ways of wars, development and colonisation. So you rob a country of its heritage, steal its wealth, replace its children, change signage and names, replace the language. How would you ever know what it was within 50 years? A good film for a view of how quickly we can forget is Book of Eli, a good watch. It seems around the time of change, as I will call it, we had things in the US called orphan trains, to remove children from the cities and distribute them around the country. What an easy way to move children, and possibly lose some too. Trafficking is big business. We also sent loads from the UK to Australia as well, and Denmark took them from Greenland to move them. There's been a lot of people moving. It also strikes me as an easy way to literally replace people, if you had an amount of people you wanted to insert into a population unnoticed. Another good cover for that, I realised, would be the World's Fairs. Now there is a subject worth attention. Until watching information on the above, I will admit, I had never heard of a World's Fair happening. It was never mentioned in history lessons, and doesn't seem to have popped up at all, until now. And when I saw the splendour and grandness of them, I was instantly confused as to what the hell happened. They make no sense at all, costing vast sums, at a time when apparently we had wars and hardships, made losses. They built all the incredible buildings in record time over huge areas, only to demolish nearly all of them straight away, more mysteriously being lost to fire soon after, if not destroyed. Also around the 1850s came the drive to suddenly build a mental asylum in every town in England, usually a massive Victorian-style spectacular building. And schools. A huge number of similar buildings became schools, despite literacy really not becoming a big thing until 1900. Why did they need to suddenly lock away lots of people, or label them mental? Were they remnants of the old time who needed removing, quietly? Then the need to educate everyone and get them in line for the weird society based around industry and profit. Not for our benefit or profit, mind you, for the powers that be. It may not be as above, and there may be nothing to see if you look closer. But most official narratives are lies, covering the real purpose. So why would we assume anything different for the past? As they say, whoever controls the past controls the future.